Previously in X-Men. Oh boy, that was too much fun to try.
Whew.
Previously in X-Men, on a reprieve after recent adventures in space, and while setting up new headquarters in the Bermuda Triangle, the X-Men have a chapter break, giving us the opportunity to make a lateral move, read another X project assigned by editorial to the one and only Chris Claremont. I am Jason Lapidus.
I'm Chris Sanagan.
And we are a group of 7 comics, and welcome to episode 70 of our never-ending Tuesday night live stream read-through of the X-Men comics that became classic, as we read Wolverine #1, cover date September 1982. Woohoo! How are you, Chris?
I'm good. I'm glad you prefaced it with, they've had a cosmic adventure, bit of a chapter break.
Right.
And then we're going to dive into this 4-issue limited series, Wolverine, the first of its kind for the character. And it is so striking, even though it's written by the same person who's currently writing Wolverine on the X-Men in the same year of publication.
Yeah.
Different books.
Totally different books.
Different voices. It is striking. If you think of it from a production perspective, and Claremont's writing a few issues of here and there, and it's like they wouldn't even be the same writer.
Right. And I think there's a few things we can attribute to that, and like we'll dive into all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for the month of March, we're going to cover all 4 issues of the Wolverine Limited series, and there isn't an exact perfect spot to do that. In the X-Men chronology, there isn't like this is when Wolverine's in Japan and he's not available for this mission.
Right.
But it felt like it was the perfect time for us, given that it's a new month and given that we can. And we both just got our hands on the graphic novel, the first trade paperback version of it, right? There we go. With the beautiful 4 issues put together with the cover by Lynn Varley. Cover by Lynn Varley, based on the pencils and inks from Frank Miller himself. Done years later, done in 1987 for this 1982 limited series. So it's like a different cartoonist. If you want to just talk Frank Miller, which we're going to for a couple minutes here, this is Frank Miller after he's finished his run on Daredevil. He has finished Dark Knight Returns. He's done, Wolverine was already 5 years ago. He's gone through a metamorphosis. He's done Ronin. So he's gone deep into his love affair, I guess, with Japan and with manga and, Seven Samurai and Lone Wolf and Cub and all that stuff. So he's been drawing samurai and ninja stuff for years now. And, he has a certain degree of creative freedom and like liberty. So what the cover artist is not the same artist that does the interior. Essentially, right. It's like it's a man who's been through a lot in 5 years as a creator, really finding his voice. He doesn't have to worry about his editorial anymore.
This cover, as opposed to the Come Hither.
Well, as opposed to that cover, which we will talk about as well in a moment. So just neat to compare this version.
It is.
And the original versions of this, there are like 3 original pieces that I came across in my research.
Okay.
Let me see what I can show you here. Present. There are 3 original pieces. There is, of course, the Wolverine, the pencils that Frank Miller himself drew.
Okay.
Of this that were then. I'm just going to see what I find here. Oh, cool. Let me share that. Let's open this bad boy up. This is kind of neat. I can do it.
I believe in this.
I believe in me too. Let's open up the window. There we go.
Okay.
So this is him, on probably, some kind of lighter paper. noodling away with his pencil, and you can see what he does in great detail and what he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So he's getting in real tight knot face, and really drawing from like a lot of like Japanese folk art and like the samurai masks and demon masks, like with the Wolverine's face, all the wrinkles, and it's really, really interesting. So this is his original drawing. Then he goes over this with a light board piece, probably with ink, and that piece is not seen anywhere. It's like in Miller's house. And then Varley takes that one and does the watercolor and gouache or whatever tool she's using to make the one we eventually see. So they're her version and the original pencils, like those two exist in private collections. And the other one in the middle, the one that's like just the tracing that Miller does of his own pencils, that one's in his collection. And I have not yet seen it, but it's kind of cool to see.
It is very cool to see.
So we just have to keep in mind for this episode, and for anyone who's watching, we really hope that you're going to enjoy this. Yet you, again, keep it in the context of this is episode 70, meaning that the previous 69 episodes give context to where we're at for this issue. If you have seen, let's just say, The Wolverine or Logan, those two movies from Fox, entertaining movies. One is amazing, one is really good. From my heart. If that's the context you're coming in, you might find this underwhelming because this is an old comic. There wasn't anything Wolverine before this. There's Wolverine in the X-Men, right? Mm-hmm. He's in the series, but there's nothing where you are in his head, nothing where he is the lead character through and through, where he's the hero. And so this is completely groundbreaking in that it was the first try at making some sort of version of this where Wolverine is a solo character. Mm-hmm. The logo on the cover, which is still used to this day, is made for this. Like, this is still Wolverine's logo. It hasn't changed.
The Wolverine font.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
you say font, meaning that implies that you can do any kind of word with it, rearranging the letters, which you can't. So this is a logo, meaning that it's handmade originally with rulers and other tools, specifically as a graphic for a cover for this character. Okay. A font implies that it's a typeset. Right. You can just rearrange the letters. Yeah, and it wouldn't work. I mean, certain things are done a certain way to make it really stand out. The fact that the V has a pointed bottom, the W has pointed bottoms. Those are graphic choices. The one of the sides of the N has that pointed bottom. The L even cuts up, like all these little things. This is still the logo that's used on his work and will forever be identified with him. So they really hit it out of the park the very first time, which I find really cool.
Yeah.
Another just piece to understand. So X-Men has been around now, since 63, 64. But we know we've been following it since 75 when Claremont gets on board. And Wolverine's been on the team since then. The series goes from being canceled and... Whoop. Something changed here. Did I
really
provoke my Siri? Can you still hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, my Siri just clicked on. I don't know what... Oh, I said the word series. So my sound changed and I could see the flashing orb in the corner of my computer. I want to smash something when that happens. Anyway, the series goes from being canceled to being revived and being on the verge of cancellation to becoming the number one title at Marvel by about 1981 or 82. Mm-hmm. And Byrne's contributions like really elevate things in terms of sales. I actually pulled up some sales numbers just to show you. So again, that like 200,000 units sold per issue is what they're going for. Like that's an absolute runaway hit. If you're over 100,000 units sold of that issue, your series is usually doing pretty well, or is well enough to keep going. Once it dips under, it's usually on the verge of cancellation. At the point in time, Mad Magazine is selling over 1 million every single month. Or every issue is over 1 million.
To give you even further context, Group of 7 Comics over its 5 years have sold about 3,500 copies. So, just to put it in the pantheon, just want to let everybody know there.
Yeah. So the other side of it is Miller comes on Daredevil in 1979 as the penciler, and the book is so poor in terms of sales that it doesn't even really register in a lot of the sales lists.
Right.
It's like well under, maybe 80,000 a month or 80,000 per issue.
It's a group of 7 comics numbers. We get it.
Okay. And then let me just share my screen here again. And then by this point in time, Claremont is looking to partner up with somebody, and you can see the numbers here. Can you see this okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So Mad is now dipped under the million, if you can see right here. X-Men is cranking at over 336,000.
Wow.
The second highest selling Marvel comic is Daredevil. At this point in time, Miller is writing and drawing and Klaus Janson on inks the whole time. But they're outselling, for the first time ever, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, all those other series, Star Wars. And this is, not too long after Return of the Jedi, or Empire Strikes Back. G.I. Joe is coming on, coming on big numbers there. Like Rob the Space Knight out, like look at Legion of Superheroes is up there. Rob Space Knight is outselling Captain America, outselling Superman, outselling Batman, Green Lantern. I mean, this just tells you the state of comics, right? So you're only getting really 3 publishers here. You're getting Marvel, DC, and Archie. But these type, like Jughead is selling 62,000. But a lot of these DC properties are they're really low. Flash 72,000, Wonder Woman 73,000. Like, what's wrong with your company when your best character is selling 80,000 and Space Knight? But cool, Legion of Superheroes is probably the best DC.
Yeah, I wonder who's writing it at that time. Or drawing it.
I forget, unfortunately. Yeah, but it's their best book by a lot.
Yeah, I wouldn't have pegged Legion of Superheroes, the Legion, to be leading the way for DC.
Right. So it's just cool to think that you get the writer of X-Men and you get the writer artist of Daredevil on a book, and and the next thing you know, you're getting this comic, which I have it here actually.
Oh, you have the issue.
My OG, yeah. So I just wanted that context, and the version of Miller that we're getting is, again, it's pre-Dark Knight Returns, it's pre-Ronin.
I agree. It's
it's
restrained in a way.
Yeah. Well, he's collaborating, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think for someone like me who hasn't got too much of an understanding of history of Miller, but have encountered the big properties, have encountered Dark Knight Returns and 300 and those pieces, and have read them also in comic form, and then you go back 5 years previous, even with the Daredevil, that's Born Again, right? That's Frank Miller, right?
Okay, Frank Miller Born Again is a return to Daredevil after doing Dark Knight and Year One.
Oh, so that's that. Okay.
He's just writing it.
And he's just writing. Mazzucchelli's on the art.
Mazzucchelli's on art.
Anyway, no, but it's very it's striking. Again, I think because we're going from Cockrum to Miller, it's not even a conversation. It's not even. And then we're going from the Cockrum version of Wolverine to the Miller version of Wolverine. Again, it's striking how, if you put those two books in the same publication year up against each other, it's striking how they come off as completely different books.
Yeah, different characters, different voice, almost like different target audience.
Completely.
You and I have been saying for a while now, Cockrum feels like a man out of time a little bit. That his aesthetic is about 10 years old, 10 years too old, and Miller is breaking ground. So Miller is pulling in, we saw once in a while some kind of fun panel layouts from Cockrum. We saw some pretty traditional ones from
Sure.
Byrne. Byrne follows the Kirby model pretty closely. We got, once in a while, you get not many like Ditko style 9-panel grids, more like the Kirby style 6 panels per page, and it's the blocks. And once in a while, we get a little bit of widescreen. This, we're seeing a whole nother thing. We're going to see tall vertical panels. We're going to see widescreen fight scenes, and we're going to see empty space, like negative spaces on page where panels will move you across, and he'll leave some things where there's nothing going on. So there's innovation happening here, and he's pulling in from Japan and his own, and what he's doing in Daredevil. And it's really, really neat.
It is. It is. Yeah. And I can't wait to get into a little more. I will say, I will take a little bit of umbrage with the preamble in the beginning where Claremont writes in 1987. And I'll tell you why. So he writes in the little preamble to this particular publication.
Yes.
It began on the road, driving north along the California coast towards Los Angeles. Okay. And
it's post San Diego Comic-Con. They're coming back from
San Diego Comic-Con. And it mentions, I'm not going to find it, mentions that it's a 6-hour trip in the car from San Diego to Los Angeles. I drove that only a month ago from San Diego to Anaheim, California, and it took the Uber driver about an hour and a half. So as I read that, I'm like, what route are you taking? And it's just so it's so silly. It just stuck out with me. It's like on that 6-hour trip, I'm like, what did you do?
Is it possible? I know he specifically says they're going to Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're going to San Francisco, okay, then
it's longer.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
What could be 6 hours? Could it be that he's saying, I mean, I don't know why we're going to fuss over this, but I agree with you. Is it the drive and then the flight back to New York? Is that what you know what I mean?
Or is he driving for an hour and then 5 hours in traffic in the LA suburbs? I can believe that. But it's just, anyway, it's so silly. It's just so funny.
I read that today to reacquaint myself
having
with that story.
Just done that. I'm like, what? No.
So that think is the other. I guess it's the other important piece to put this story in context. Is that they are assigned? You know, Claremont is assigned a Wolverine spinoff. X-Men is hot. Editorial says we want to see, and this is not Louise Simonson editorial. It's the one up. It's Jim Shooter editorial saying we want a Wolverine limited series. Limited series is a new thing we're trying at Marvel. Claremont, since it's your character in your purview, you're not the creator, but you are the custodian of this character. He's in your purview, in your portfolio. Come up with something, and you pretty much get your pick of the artist, right? Would you like to work with Miller? I mean, he's doing great work on Daredevil. It would seem like a good match.
Yeah.
So Miller says he's not interested because he's just basically a feisty brawler.
One-dimensional berserker.
One-dimensional.
Yeah.
And Claremont kind of agrees, you know. I mean, we've both seen that there's other things happening with the character during Byrne's run. There are two things that stand out in my mind. One, earlier in Byrne's run with Claremont, there's a scene. Remember, those are a Marvel method, so there's going to be a little bit of time where the artist is able to put some things in that cause the writer to have to pivot and write new dialogue. There's a scene where Wolverine is in Japan with the X-Men, and he stumbles onto a garden looking for tranquility.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, and this would be Claremont's line, that he finds these gardens very peaceful, and he seeks them out. So that was, and he meets Mariko there.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's significant for this book, just because that's the woman that he loves. So he meets her in Japan, but he goes there looking for peaceful solitude, which is not part of the Berserker one-dimensional character. That's a whole other thing. And 1A, he speaks Japanese.
Yeah.
Fluent in Japanese.
Yeah, that's the whole Moses Malone, right? Where Sunfire shows up again because he's not a jerk.
Moses Malone.
It
was Moses something.
Moses, sorry. Anyway,
Moses Magnum.
Magnum. They fight him, and Banshee loses his voice. Anyway, that's that holder in Japan when they're crisscrossing the globe, and he speaks Japanese. And he mentioned, he's like, yeah, I've been in Japan before. And like, that's it. And they just leave it.
Right.
So
The second part that shows another dimension to him is before they have the battle for, I guess, for Phoenix's soul.
Yeah.
When they're in space in the blue area of the moon, there's a scene where he's meditating in the spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
And it again just shows that there's this other side to him, this, Eastern philosophical meditation side where he practices something else,
Bigger question, who's Moses Malone? Why did I
I'm going to tell you, I think you're Moses Malone. Is that your...
It's like Inception. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I found it, by the way. All through that 6-hour drive, we talked Wolvie's character. So I'm guessing they got to LA, like, this conversation's too good. Let's double back to San Diego, then double back again to Los Angeles. Anyway.
If we ever get to talk to Claremont, we can ask him about the 6-hour drive.
Chris!
So that gives us a little bit of context where this story starts off. It is like you just have to really maybe watch or read the issue that goes with episode 69. Which we've placed as, I think, was X-Men 158 around there.
Off, yeah.
And you really could read this limited series anytime in the 150s, 160s. It's fine. But just keep that in mind. So you ready to dive in?
Yeah, of course.
All right. I'm very excited, obviously. Here we go. So here is...
Can I ask you a quick question? You know how you were saying, editors saying we want a Wolverine solo adventure miniseries, whatever. At this point, do we know how popular the character is through the X-Men? Like, are people like, yeah, well, more Wolverine? Are people writing letters saying... Because our experience with reading the character is during the Byrne Claremont run, he gets front of page. But during the Byrne Cochran, he's like pushed a little bit back because Cochran doesn't seem to be a fan.
Right. So you and I have looked at some of the letters. I have not seen any outcry or outpouring degree of affection for Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Anything more than usual. He's made an appearance at this point on the cartoon on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends as, a background character. We're still a little bit away from Secret Wars, where he does get to be a character a little bit more in the forefront, and he gets his own action figure. Which was the first Wolverine action figure. So he's not quite, he's definitely not the most popular character at Marvel, but there must be some buzz and some energy about him. And I wonder if, Chris Claremont, Louise Simonson, Jim Shooter are spitballing, okay, what are some additional series we can do? What are some spin-offs we can do?
Right.
And the New Mutants is in the works at this point. And I wonder if they we could do a Wolverine series. Maybe there's something there. And Chris had a feeling that there's some content. So he proposes, obviously this Japanese connection, which we can actually dive into that maybe after we've read some of it, like maybe next week or the week after, because the point of view he brings, we don't have to say before we read it. We can let maybe the book speak for itself a little bit in that respect. Might be interesting to see if the book has it really in there, or if we're seeing it because of the bias from reading Claremont's message. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does it flavor our point of view? So here we go with the issue.
So do you want to be Wolverine this issue and I'll be all the other characters?
I think you and I spoke about this. I thought about it too. I don't know if there is a better way. So maybe you and I, sure. And then next week you be Wolverine and I'll be
next week. I will make my debut as Wolverine. Trevor, I don't know if you're listening, but that's coming, buddy.
I have no doubt you'll do a good job of the character, and you'll make it your own, as everyone should. And I would suggest you spend the rest of the week smoking.
That sounds like Banshee.
Why does Wolverine sound like Banshee? And as we begin here,
all right.
You might notice a few differences between the copy you hold in your hand and what is before us on the screen.
Sure.
Because what is before us is printed on newsprint.
Right.
And what is in our hands, both of us, is on a fancier stock of paper. And the colors are more saturated. They're more potent. And, look, Wolverine's glove. The one in your hand, Wolverine's glove, is almost maybe a 50% yellow. but on screen it's barely yellow.
Yes.
So those things really make a difference the way they pop. Yeah, the 100% yellow is actually the second word text box, the one where he says, "In the best there is at what I do."
Mm-hmm.
But the first one is lesser, so it's almost you can't even see the difference between 50% and 100% on newsprint. Okay. But on the one in our hand, you can see the difference between the 50% and the 100%.
Right.
Anyway, I digress.
But what a page.
Trevor says he can't wait as long as he's not Australian. And Jason Lowe says, "To me, my knuckleheads." Do we want to give Jason Lowe a giant congratulations and kudos for the introduction of his new Spider-Man character?
Yeah.
Spider-Friend?
Incredible, Jason. Congratulations.
We are so happy for you. That's amazing news, and I can't wait to see more of your original Spider-Man character. What a great thing to be able to do. Yeah, you've got lots of fun news coming. It's an exciting time to be Jason. All right, here we go. I'm just stuck here because, again, this iconic line from Wolverine, this is the first time it's ever been used. We've never been in Wolverine's narration before.
I was going to ask that.
Right, okay, here we go. And by the way, Stan Lee has nothing to do with this comic. Stan Lee presentation. Get that shit out of here. I'm also, before I go...
No, go.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. The Wolverine where he speaks is going to be a little more Wolverine-y, and the Wolverine where he narrates, to me, is a little less Wolverine because it's his head voice.
It's his inner monologue.
It's his inner monologue.
I get you.
Yeah, I'm glad you got me. I'm Wolverine. I'm the best there is at what I do, but what I do isn't very nice.
Tell me more about what you do.
Don't make me laugh. And what does he do? This is home to me, the Canadian Rockies. Land as stark and elemental as my soul. I'm here on business. To hunt. To kill. Like I said, what I do best. I picked up his trail late yesterday, and just before dawn found the latest examples of his handiwork. 2 Mounties, what was left of them anyway. They were good men, experienced, well-armed. Suckers never had a chance. Wind shifted during my climb. He knows I'm coming. He's confused, probably a little scared. He's not used to being challenged on his own turf. He'll wait for me to make the first move. If I walk by, he'll charge out after me. I don't want that. Too much risk of his escaping again. He may be mad, he may be, but he ain't stupid. It's going to be a lot of Wolverine. Oh my goodness.
It is.
Holy
But it's really
smokes.
good. It's super, it's just really meaty. I love it.
Yeah. No other exits. And these signs are hours old. He's still inside, probably sleeping off his last meal. I look, listen, smell, wait. I can't pinpoint him. His cave's too deep. Too many branch passages. Perfect for an ambush. Better I let him come to me. He roars, a challenge. I smile. It won't be long now. It isn't. He's big and mean, a rogue grizzly bear. No more fearsome or deadly creature exists on Earth, except me. His claws gleam in the half-light. Like, this is so pulpy and so noirish. You know, like, we're more than 10 years away, I think, from Sin City.
Okay.
But everything in Sin City writing, it's here already. Even though this is Claremont writing, it's like the rhythms of it.
Right. So I wonder if Miller's taking notes.
I think they're also tapping in. They're tapping into something similar. Like, they probably have both seen lots of the same, Humphrey Bogart movies and read Dashiell Hammett and like all that kind of stuff together. geez, what's the character from The Long Goodbye? Other like famous LA Raymond Chandler's character.
Perry Mason.
No, not Perry Mason. It's okay. I like you. I don't remember
Sure,
the
it's
name
not
off the
Perry
top of my
Mason.
head. There's a new movie with Liam Neeson actually playing this character.
Oh, Marlowe.
Marlowe, Philip Marlowe. So like
Not
I think
Christopher Marlowe. The
no, not Kit
Yeah.
Marlowe.
Confessed.
I think they're drawing from similar things, like similar styles from detective fiction, and the rhythms just really work with Wolverine. And to try that with him, it works exceptionally well.
So we get a master class of pulp writing right now with Ed Brubaker on the Reckless series and all the other comics that he's writing with Sean Phillips, right? And one thing, you're right, it's about the rhythm and the pacing and the cadence, right? And one thing that works super well, and Miller does it later. Yeah, Sin City's a perfect example of it.
And Dark Knight Returns.
Dark Knight. You're seeing Claremont do it now. It's these kind of short 2, 3, 4 word sentences, but they're done in such a rhythm that they're not. They carry into each other so well. And they set up, like he sets up language. Like, for example, let's take that grizzly bear panel there. Yeah. He's big and mean, a rogue grizzly bear. No more fearsome or deadly creature exists on Earth. Pause, except me. Like, like he's just, anyway, it's super pulpy. It's super fun. And as we read more about this, again, so different than what we're reading in X-Men comics right now, which he is also writing.
I also see a lot of parts where like there's hints of the artist to come, given that we're still years away. We're 3 years away from Dark Knight Returns in terms of the production year. Like 85 he's working on it, 86 it comes out, or the first book comes out. So we're a couple of years away from that. We're a decade away from Sin City or more, and then of course 300 and all these other pieces. But Miller is one of the best artists at like the all black and then showing a little bit of white to create everything you need to know in that panel. So the one where he's coming in the cave and he's silhouetted, this is like an organic version of Sin City as opposed to the stark lines that are in the urban settings, in bricks and stuff. This is like the organic version of it. And we see a little bit of this with Batman on the rooftops and Dark Knight Returns, but there are hints of this all through this issue where we're like, oh, I see how this artist is going to become that artist in 10 years. And then we also should address, like Joe Rubinstein is doing inks. He's the guy keeping it on Marvel brand. He's an anchor to the house style. And as skilled he is at his craft, like using brush and using pen, he's not adding any style to this that is groundbreaking or that suit the narrative. Like his inking isn't gritty. Sure, it's textured, but he inks this way over Cockrum in X-Men, right? And I wonder what this would look like if Jansen had inked it in 3 years, or if you come back and redraw this issue again as a Sin City issue, like you draw it with that mentality, black and white, and if it ain't white, it's black. Like if you don't need it in white, you draw it in black. And a part of me is so tempted to go down that rabbit hole and like take a page and make it a Sin City style where even the gutters, they're black unless it needs to be white, and wonder how it would look. I bet you it would be friggin' awesome. Anyway, very cool. I was talking before about negative spaces. You see, like on both pages, there is an echo. Like they both have these blocks where you could put a little panel in, or put word balloons there, or narration boxes. But he's going for something different, where there's a little bit of space on every page to breathe. Interesting. Cool D&D ad, and then Wolverine pops them claws. Oof. He says before that his claws gleam in the half-light. So do mine. They're forged with pure adamantium, the strongest metal known, unbreakable and razor sharp. They cut through steel like paper. My skeleton's laced with the same stuff, which means it can withstand virtually any amount of punishment, an asset in my line of work. By birth, I'm a mutant. By profession, for a time, I was a secret agent. Now, by choice, I'm a superhero. One of the Uncanny X-Men. Before the rogue realizes what's happening, he's crippled, mortally wounded. I want this over quickly, but dying's a long way from being dead.
Great.
Yeah, it's so good.
So pulpy.
The bear howls, more rage than pain, and lunges for me. I hit him too hard, too fast. He doesn't know yet how badly he's hurt. He's become a true berserker. His fury giving him a terrible, almost irresistible power and endurance. I love the curved blood trail in the as Wolverine's backhand slices through the bear's abdomen. Yeah. There's like a blood trail going, and it makes me think of, and a couple more times in this issue, Kurosawa had this philosophy about the panels, the frames he would shoot in his movies, and he would talk about three kinds of movement. So A, the camera moving,
right,
in a shot. The B, characters moving in a shot, like high to low or whatever it's going to be. So if the camera goes left to right or side to side, the character's going to go high to low. And the third one was like nature is going to move. So the grass is going to blow
right
in the wind, or the water is going to drip. Something, nature's steam is going to, or the fog. And I just think about how Miller has like this bear off balance. So it's tumbling. The panel is set to one side of the page, so like it's almost like the camera shifted. So the character is moving, the camera kind of has an interesting way of moving, and then the blood is like coming out of the arm and out of the body, like nature is moving too. I find that really appealing. A lot of movement on that page. I wish there was another way, but there isn't. There's an arrow in his back. An illegal barbed point, coated with poison, but the dosage didn't kill. Instead, it drove the bear insane. The hunter could have kept after him, finished him off, but the creep couldn't be bothered. He figured his gunk do the job for him. He was wrong. 7 men, 3 women, 5 kids paid the price for his stupidity. He as much as murdered him. Now was the time to balance the books.
That's pretty gruesome, man.
It is. But like, Wolverine's a killer, but he's using it for the right reasons. You know what I mean? Quick note on the bears he draws. Like, he is not pulling from a reference. These are just, I'm drawing imagination bears.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's fine. I think as a kid, it always kind of irked me too. Like, his bears look really weird. But you just go with it because it's just a small section of the book and you move past. Had you ever read this when you saw The Wolverine, the movie from 2011? I don't know what year it was.
No, I had read this after I had seen the Wolverine movie.
Did you make the connection right away, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this is the beginning of the movie.
2013 is when it came out.
This is the beginning.
Yeah, it is. It's like the first act with long-haired, homeless, living up in the mountains, Logan. In this one, he seems like that he went up there looking for the bear, as opposed to him living up there and the bear comes to him. Yeah. It's a bit different approach, but this feels like that Wolverine is a bit of a ranger. He's like patrolling the wilderness, looking to solve.
Yeah, I mean the Rockies,
smaller problems.
The Rockies is the place where he likes to go and just wander and be a bit of a be a bit of that character. Yeah. Yeah.
Trevor says, I don't think they regularly refer themselves as the Uncanny X-Men, do they? I would agree with you. I think it's just Claremont taking some creative liberties and plugging his own book, like just having some fun. Now, we change scenes as we enter Josie's Bar and Grill, which is an ongoing place that Wolverine visits. Isn't Josie's also where Daredevil hangs out in New York?
In New York, I mean, it could be. It's
Isn't it
like that. But like, look, it has like saloon doors in the middle of winter.
Yeah, but that's Canada for you, buddy.
Close those saloon doors. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure on the Netflix series of Daredevil that like they go to Josie's, like that's their local.
It could be. I mean, there's that character who is like the woman behind the bar who is named and kind of dishes out beer as well as one-liners. And it could be that's another part. A favorite of mine with the Daredevil character is he just often drinks in Hell's Kitchen bars in full uniform. It's full costume. It's pretty great.
Josie's Bar and Grill in the town of Old Coldspur. 57 miles in a straight line from the bear's den. I followed the hunter the same way I did the bear, by scent. There was a residue left on the arrow. I backtrailed the bear to where he'd been shot, followed the hunter from there. It wasn't easy, even for my enhanced senses. I've been on the road for days, but the grief is worth it. I've struck pay dirt. And here's like a great example of the colorist just highlighting the only two important people in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. It also kind of... Yeah, go ahead, sir.
As the camera pans across, like we start with Wolverine, then the crowd, and then the guy. Like you move across the scene.
It also speaks a bit, I think, and maybe it's unintentional, but like to his senses, like he's like locked in senses on this one guy.
Yeah.
Right? Like
I wonder,
this one guy out of the cigarette smoke and the beer.
Yeah. Like did he sleep? Or did he just like walk it? Like
Yeah. Well, he made some bear jerky. And then after eating bear jerky.
Anyway, you're up, buddy. For the first time.
What do you want, eh?
We're going to talk, bub. You, me, and the Mounties. About a bear you shot a fortnight ago.
No fooling. I don't think you'll be talking to anyone, Shorty. Especially after I'm through stomping your face.
Bub, I was hoping you'd do something like that. The bear lasted longer, but I let the man live. And Jason's criticizing the colorist.
So could we make an argument that, again, I haven't read too much Wolverine, but the greatest 8-page Wolverine prologue that we know about?
Sure. Not everyone loves this, though, as their like definitive Wolverine, because they came to this after, watching, let's say, the animated series and reading Weapon X and the other Wolverine, the solo series, the ongoing one that starts in, I think, 88. So all those things are kind of, built on the pieces that maybe this lays down first, or, like this for me was my introduction to Wolverine. I probably read this before I really got deep into X-Men, and it changes the way I saw him. Like for sure, this was having his voice this clear in my head.
Yeah,
it was the same thing that with Batman. I feel very close to both those characters because you feel their rhythm. You get to know them as people and how they think. And it's been something that I always thought was sort of lacking in the films, is that we're always distant from Batman. We're never inside his head, but in the best Batman books of all time, you're right there with him each step of the way. Like Dark Knight Returns and Year One is, and Long Halloween. You're in his thoughts the whole time. So those writers that get their protagonist's cadence and thought, their brainwaves, those things really help me connect to the characters. And one of the reasons I was so struck watching The Batman last year was that the movie opens and closes with inner monologue from the protagonist, which was the first time on screen for that.
Right. Well, I mean, the other thing I was going to say about this little prologue intro is that it can deliver, or maybe for some, certainly I think for us, it delivers tells you everything you need to know about the character. Right. So it tells you that he is extremely deadly. So we know that he takes down a grizzly bear. It shows him that he's got let's call it a a sense of justice or a good heart. He's tracking this thing because it is killing people.
Yeah, let's go with justice.
Right?
Okay. Yeah,
justice,
right and wrong.
A sense of justice, of right and wrong. He's got a sense.
He has a code.
There's a code. There's the lone. He's alone doing it. Like he is. He works best on his own, or he is a lone wolf, or however you want to categorize that. And he sees things through. Like he has, like they said, he lets that guy get that first shot in, so that he can, then respond kindly. In kind, right? Like, but then at the very end, but I let him live, right? So he hasn't straight out left this guy for dead on Josie's barroom floor,
Right. So
it's just there's so, and then of course the nature piece. He talks about the adamantium skeleton. He talks about the Canadian Rockies. Like to me, it's a bit of a like when you think of where we came from with the character over the X-Men run, it's condensed into 8 pages. Like it's like the critical elements that we are aware of so far, and we're going to even go on a further journey. But it's that first. It feels like 70 or 70 years of comics, and the best things that we can get out of this guy, diluted and then kind of just put through 8 pages of work. It's great.
It reminds me of Raiders of the Lost Ark. How with most great movies, the opening scene is a microcosm of really what the whole movie is about. So you explore those same ideas throughout the whole film. And it's like the opening paragraph of an essay. State your thesis. Like we understand Wolverine perfectly after these opening pages.
Mm-hmm. Or at least we think.
Yes, we think we do.
Also really a really great piece of
writing.
Piece of creativity. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we see what he's like in his regular life. Now let's flip it on its head. And, as we lean towards completely destroying him as a character.
Right.
Cool. Wow. Mariko Yoshida. Daughter of one of the noblest, richest, most powerful families in Japan. She can trace her lineage back almost 2,000 years. Me, I know my father. That's as far as it goes. From the moment we met, I loved her, and she loved me. Ain't life a crock? Do we stop right there and just the elephant in the room? He knows his father. This is not a man who has his memory gone. We still have yet to come across that, by the way. We've been reading Wolverine's, almost every appearance of Wolverine over 7 years, and never once has it come up that he has some sort of deficiency in his memory. I'm wondering when that's going to start to pop up, and maybe it really isn't a huge part of the character.
The man without
maybe
past
it is. Thing. Maybe it does matter that he doesn't know his past, or maybe it doesn't at all. Maybe it's more important that we don't know his past. In Canada.
Yeah. It's up
in Canada. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the other thing about that the little background on Mariko and their feelings for each other. We have to remind ourselves too that when we met, from the moment we met, which I think she's 16 or 15 or 16 when we meet her in Japan. So anyway, it's one of those things. I know it's from that time, but just.
So there's this thing, an ongoing kind of, joke or whatever, ongoing criticism of X-Men. I don't know if it's criticism, but just a known thing that it has a sliding timeline.
Okay.
So the timeline doesn't always work out with what happens where and when. And I'm going to argue that even when Wolverine is standing next to Mariko Yoshida, there's a sliding timeline between them.
Okay.
So I imagine that as time-space gets closer from her to him, time warps. So she's 30 in Wolverine years, and he's 17 in Mariko years. There's a
it's a
sliding timeline
situation.
Yes, it is definitely a yikes, but it isn't part of this story.
No,
Like, if you were just to read this
no.
on its own, there's no discrepancy with it.
I'm only bringing it up because of the time, because we are doing it week by week.
Right.
We are privy to this information on hand easily. Yeah.
Yes. I also really I love the portrait of Mariko that he's holding.
Mm-hmm.
And I marvel at the way, I still don't know how you make that. Like, now obviously with computers, it's not so bad, but the techniques that were used to make this picture, and the fact, on the newsprint, it looks like a photograph on newsprint. It's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not pretty, to my eye, and what I want to see in a person's face in a comic book. She looks like a real person.
Right.
And that's kind of interesting. This is a woman he loves, and it's not Bo Derek. In putting it in context of 1982. This is
not Lonnie Anderson.
Well done. Well
there you
done.
go. There you go. It's for all those folks out there.
Oh man! In Canada,
playing the role of Mariko is Lonnie Anderson.
In Canada, I gave my deposition and saw the hunter bound over for trial before heading stateside to the X-Men. It's the X-Men secret headquarters near New York. Now, keeping in mind, they've moved their headquarters to Bermuda.
Right.
So it might be that they still have their base there, and this takes place at a different moment in time.
Exactly.
Yeah. I found a pile of mail waiting for me. All the letters I'd sent to Mariko, returned unopened. I phoned her embassy. They said she'd been summoned back to Japan weeks ago. I called her home. They hung up on me. Bad move. Japan Airlines Flight 007 leaves Kennedy Airport the next morning for Anchorage, Alaska, and Tokyo. I read that in a way that made it sound like those are 3 different places.
Yeah.
Try that again. Kennedy Airport the next morning for Anchorage, Alaska, and Tokyo. I'm on it.
I love this. It's they hung up on me. Bad move. They didn't realize how much of a stalker I am. So I'm gonna fly across the world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I plan to handle this on my own. But the local spooks have other ideas. I'm nailed at immigration by Asano Kimura, one of their top people, and a friend. We ran more in our share of dirty missions together before I quit the trade. And we owe each other our lives a couple times over.
Logan, your presence in Tokyo is making a number of very august personages very nervous. Your reputation as ever precedes you.
Tough. Watakushwa Logan to Moshimasu. I'm a close friend of Lady Mariko's. May I please speak with her? Well, then could you at least give her a message? I'm being stonewalled, Asano.
Of course. Logan, you are more truly Japanese than any Westerner I have ever known. But I doubt even you can really understand Mariko's actions. You must remember, she is heir to traditions of duty and loyalty that are as old as these islands. Is
she in trouble?
If she is, old friend, she is beyond your help.
Bull.
Logan, she is married.
I love the face on Wolverine.
Yeah, I know. He looks so scared, but it's just because he's internally panicking. Because it's not that he's scared. It's great.
So good. So good.
Her father disappeared years ago during Mariko's childhood and was believed dead. However, he recently surfaced and reclaimed his rightful place as head of her family and clan. Evidently, he had incurred some great obligation, the payment of which was Mariko's hand in marriage.
And she agreed just like that? She loves me, Asano.
So, we speak of Giri, Logan, of obligation, duty, honor. To deny that would mean denying her essential self. She would rather die.
I can't live without her.
You must learn. She is lost to you.
I've got to see her.
Why? To hurt her all the more? She will answer neither your letters nor your telephone calls. Respect her silence, Logan. Leave her be. If she feels for you as you say she does, then this marriage has broken her heart too. Confronting her will only make things worse.
Maybe. But it's something I have to do.
Logan, forgive me, but I must warn you. You no longer have official status or special privileges as agent or X-Man. Should you step outside the law, I cannot help you. Indeed, I may be forced to hunt you down.
You're welcome to try. Be seeing you, buddy.
Doesn't take no for an answer, right, Wolverine?
No.
Hey, man, I think she's feeling pretty bad about it, too. I don't care. But I really want to see her. I don't care.
Well, he doesn't trust... I mean, to me,
yeah,
he doesn't trust that the information is in her best interest. Like, the information he's receiving paints a picture that is in her best interest. His instinct is that she's in a bad situation and he can actually help. And that,
right.
Her happiness is actually paramount to him above making someone uncomfortable, It took me a long time as a kid to like this picture of Wolverine. I found this, like, the lighting was so extreme to me. I think it had to do with, like, the lighting on the mask. It always sort of irked me. But, like, I'm looking at it now, and I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, I kind of loved it right away. I don't know. It was a new, I don't know, it's just a different way of seeing him move.
Yeah.
Less runty and more capable and put together. I enjoyed it for sure.
Yeah, he's awesome. I think about both these pages as, like I was saying before about Sin City.
Mm-hmm.
And how Miller would reveal this ancestral stronghold, in his Sin City style, and it would be so awesome and so stark. It would be very cool. Like, these are also the most Miller wolves ever.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they remind me of, like, a proto wolf we later see in 300 when he draws. But he's not pulling from reference at all. It's like, what do I think a wolf might look like? And it's cool.
Imagination wolf.
Imagination wolf, yeah.
Imagination wolf.
It's all good. The Yoshida ancestral stronghold stands in the hills overlooking the port city of Agarashima in Miyagi Prefecture, roughly 300 clicks up the road from Tokyo. I'm there by midnight. The dogs are new. They don't know my scent. They're killers, but so am I. We lock eyes and wills. Communication on levels far more comprehensive and settled than speech. They're mean, but they aren't stupid. They let me pass. I'm glad I got no stomach for gutting animals, especially since I just killed a bear. Oof. People, though, that's another matter. The night's too quiet, too still. I don't like it. As I enter the house, I think of the bear's den. The settings have a lot in common. I look for a trap. No luck. The place is clean. That only makes me more wary still.
Yeah, we get the awesome mirroring of him in the bear's cave from the beginning, right? Except he's assaulting the stronghold, basically. Climbing up it, looking for traps, sneaking in.
Good writing.
Good writing.
Bubble yum.
Even better writing. Look at that. Bubble yum. Mm-hmm.
She's in the garden, beneath the statue of Buddha. Mariko.
Logan? You have come at last. Too late.
I came as soon as I heard, Mariko-chan.
Do not call me that. You have not the right. Why are you here? I hoped, prayed never see you again.
You owe me an explanation.
I am married. What was once between us is no more.
I won't accept that.
You must. Like me, you have no choice.
Look at me, damn it. At least have the courage to face me. As a kid, I also struggled with how to interpret that last face. I always
Oh
thought
yeah,
his eyes were closed,
right.
like he was somehow like face me, like with his. It just didn't it didn't work,
Didn't
and
line up for
I
you,
don't
yeah.
know. No, it kind of confused me. But I think what I probably needed was as he gets here to this scene, he should pull his mask off. Like
Right.
he shouldn't be. There should be the right away the breaking of the barrier of like superhero to man. He
Mhm.
should power down and pop that mask off so we really see a little bit more expression out of him. But that was just my read of it. Bubble yum, super yum.
Are you satisfied? Go now, before you shame me further.
Who did this?
It is none of your concern.
You get lots of the emotion and
Yeah, but she
his
calms him
red
down.
face. Yeah. She really does. And we also like again, it's these negative spaces on these pages. Like they're designed differently. Like there's some sort of graphic appeal and flow. Like he's not beholden to filling every little nook and cranny, but just put what's important there and lay it out in a beautiful way.
Mm-hmm.
He's like just in another realm when it comes to
Well,
page
yeah,
layouts.
exactly.
It's really nice. Mariko, come with me.
I cannot.
Any court in the land would grant you a divorce.
I will not ask for one.
I love you.
And I, you. But I am bound by far more important obligations. Logan, these blades were crafted by the supreme swordsmith Masumuni and are as keen, as strong, as deadly today as when he forged them over 800 years ago. They are the soul of my family. All that we were and are yet to be is represented by these two swords, a tradition of duty and honor. My commitment to you was made when I was free. My father's return changed that.
Are you his property to be used in payment of a debt? You're a human being, Mariko.
Ha! And if my father in honor gave his solemn word, and I, his daughter, am honor bound not to forswear him. If you cannot comprehend and accept that, Logan, you do not truly know me at all, or Nippon.
I read that part a little bit differently than you. I read her. You read it as a laugh or a
Oh, hi.
hi. I read it as a saying hi, like saying sort of yes.
Oh, yeah.
Like an agreement with his statement.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Footsteps. And a scent I'd never smelt before tonight, yet one I recognize instantly. It clings to Mariko, tainting the jasmine I love. A man.
Mariko,
Her husband.
what are you doing here? You were told to await me in our apartments. If you are determined to find me a wife, you leave me no choice. But to continue to chastise you until you learn once and for all your proper place.
Bub, you just signed your death warrant.
Logan, no. For the love you bear me, do not harm him. No, right.
You okay?
Yeah.
He deserves it. He beats you, Mariko. If I don't stop him, he'll keep doing it.
That is his right, Louis. Please, Logan.
Okay, so I think what she's saying is that within the boundaries of their traditions, it is his right, although it's not right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not agreeing with it.
no.
Just
I think it's
imagine
also. I'm going to just, I'm sure it's an assumption
Okay.
of an American writing. What their belief of Japanese culture and hierarchy is. Yeah,
sure, and
Right.
and even maybe taking it one step further, like away from possibly what they think Japanese culture is like.
right.
It might also be like, how do I explore honor from multiple sides? So, like duty and honor. So this person feels, so I'm going to create a dynamic where she feels it is her duty to to be subservient to this abuser because of her obligation to her father and his role. So
and
it's a creative way to explore it.
And
Oh, definitely, it motivates Wolverine big time, bigly. I shouldn't have listened, but Mariko knows I can deny her nothing, not even the life of man I hate. There's a 10 a.m. JAL flight out of Narita for New York. I intend to be on it. Huh? He smells something. Bunch of throwing stars. Go whizzing by. I never saw that any of them stuck into him, but now I can see there's kind of two of them that look like they are on his deltoid, on his shoulder, and then maybe on one of his lats there. On his lat, on his
whoever threw them doesn't really have great aim. I mean, I think 2 of the 5 hit. That's less than 50%. If I was that clan leader, the guy would be killed for gross negligence to his job. I mean,
I love the awakening. Like, just this. It looks so good.
Yeah.
The shuriken are poison designed to kill me. What makes me a mutant is my body's ability to heal virtually any wound, counteract any disease. It's a nifty talent, especially in my line of work, and it saved me more than once.
Oh, isn't there even so?
Sorry, no, I triggered my Siri again.
Oh. Would you like to know more about the history of Japan? Quiet, Siri.
So, yeah, I had to wake up my mouse to turn off the stupid thing. Anyway, I never use it ever, so I might as well go change my settings.
Yeah.
Even so, when I finally awake, I hurt like blazes. The stuff they used was potent. I barely made it.
Konbanwa, Logan-san. Hajime memeshite. Good evening, Mr. Logan. I am pleased to meet you. Watakushi wa.
I know who you are, Lord Shingen. Lord of the Manor, Lord of Clan Yashida, Mariko's father.
Your Japanese is as flawless as my English, Wolverine. Yes, I also know who and what you are. But your tone is rude and your manner disrespectful.
Yep. The poison's after effects scrambled my senses. All I'm sure of is what I can see. The 2 sumo are no problem. What worries me is who's waiting outside. I can't start anything with Mariko present. Too risky. She could get hurt. I stall. Time is on my side. It runs out.
You aspire to my daughter's hand. The arrogance of you gaijin is beyond belief. Our family is as old as emperors, with as legitimate a claim to the throne. But I forget, we live in an age, in a nation where such precepts have become as ephemeral as the morning dew. Father, I beg you, be silent, child. She thinks the world of you, Wolverine. Let us see you prove it by facing an old man in single combat.
With Bokan, Lord Shingen? Wouldn't practice swords? Why not the real thing?
To be frank, you are not worthy of a true sword.
Shingen's grace belies his age. He's in perfect condition. I'm not. I figure that makes us even. This page, even just this panel, where like the movement of these 2 characters getting into their stances, they move in that still panel to me. Like I see Shingen's weight shifting. I'm blown away by it. Like there's just movement of the camera, movement of the characters as Wolverine's getting ready to smack this guy.
I also like the you're not worthy of a true sword.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm not even going to give you it because you're a child.
Big time. Or you're less than a man in some way.
Yeah.
It's been years since I held a sword. I was good. Shingen's an expert. And now we're just talking about like page reading.
Mm-hmm.
Here the first clack of the swords is on the right. Sorry, it's on the left of the page, and then it directs you over to the bottom right corner. You lean, like guiding your eye exactly where it needs to go to flow through the bottom of the page and onto the next. And the next page, the kick goes from the left side of that panel over to the right, and you're pulled over to the swing of that sword, and then it swings back, and then the other way, and then again back to the bottom right corner. Like he just choreographs these fight scenes so beautifully to move the eye around and feel those impacts. Like that first whack of the sword to Wolverine's neck in panel 2 on the next page is phenomenal. He's also shifted down to like 5 panels per page in widescreen, which people weren't doing. This was like a new style that he was bringing to mainstream American comics. Very just beautiful. So Shingen's an expert, yes. And he cheats. So much for honor. I roll with the kick, cursing the poisons for slowing my reflexes. I'm vulnerable for all of 3 seconds. Plenty of time. He strikes the nerve clusters, the crucial pressure points, where a blow can either instantly paralyze someone or kill. Too late, I realize which one of them he's going for. And Jason Lowe says, some masterclass action storytelling. Amen.
Yeah.
But I surprise him. Any one of those blows would have finished an ordinary man. I'm not ordinary. I hear Mariko gasp as I pop my claws. See Shingen smile. I've played into his hands. Mariko saw the duel without understanding what his strikes were doing to me. Shingen challenged me to mock friendly combat. She thought his attacks were meant to humiliate me. Now, though, when I appear to be losing, I turn our fight into the real thing. I couldn't dishonor myself more in her eyes if I tried. Shingen attacks, but my heart, my head aren't in this fight. I cut cloth instead of flesh. He flaming near snaps my spine. Doesn't hurt much, but my legs go numb. He follows up with a Tsuki strike to the throat. I try to breathe and spit blood instead.
Oof.
Again, this page, it's like he throws his thing. He's on the right. He's on the left. He throws to the right. Then you get a center page. Then you get one. A center panel. Then you get one. You go both sides across. Like swing that way, swing that way. It's just like back and forth. It's so good.
Yeah, I love that shot of him, the top panel, him throwing the sword down too. Looks great.
Yeah, it's like it's what we wanted too, right? I'm going to show this guy. Like, come on, Wolverine. Let's open this guy up. Things get worse. And no matter what I do, it's obvious to all concerned that the outcome is never in doubt.
Oof. Oof. Behold, daughter.
I hear Shingen say, though I see only Mariko as I struggle to hold off oblivion.
The man you profess to love, except that he is no man at all, but an animal cast in the semblance of human form. Gaze upon him, Mariko. Witness his true nature, his true self. Here is the thing to which you have given your heart. Answer me truthfully. Is he worthy of such a prize? No.
So a Tsuki strike is such a silly phrase. Please inform me why. I don't know anything about that. I don't know what a Tsuki strike is. Does it have a meaning? Like, does it mean the word strike?
Right,
So it's like a
strike.
strike. I don't know. I'm interested. I know like that when I would work with people who studied like medieval weaponry, whenever we talked about chainmail, they're like
Oh, it's a
mail.
thrust. Like
It's a
Suki's
thrust.
thrust to thrust.
So it's like a thrust strike.
Thrust strike.
Okay.
Which
So
right.
yeah, okay. In that context, I see what you mean. That's interesting. Yeah, it just means thrust. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it would have done fine on its own, right? Just saying a thrust.
Right. Thrust.
Yeah.
Thrust.
So that's what they were saying, like with chainmail, right? Because mail, it means chain.
Yeah.
So it means basically chain.
Armor.
Yeah, it's redundant. So this is a
Redundant,
similar
yeah.
kind of case.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes things become part of the common lexicon, and
Well,
just
sure.
yeah, you got to go with it. But yeah, it won't always translate, especially like for anyone knowledgeable about whatever the topic is that these writers who are kind of aiming at 10 to 12-year-olds, whatever they're pulling from, they're usually never going to be as expert as someone who's learned in that area. Great page again. Like, look at the use of open space, that leap, and then
you feel it coming down, right? Because of the space between his leap and Wolverine on the ground, and those 4 or 5 panels, as the foot comes down, you feel that height.
And just going all black with the last one, it's great.
Yeah.
And then we get an amazing piece where just shows how little Jason Lowe knows about comic making. Because if I remember correctly, somebody somewhere named Jason Lowe said that colorist was lazy. But come on, man. Jason, look at this beautiful panel. It looks so good in the original on the newsprint with all that signage in Tokyo.
Oh, the neon lights.
Yeah, it looks awesome. That does not look like easy work either, given that there are no lines from the penciler. So I really would love to know. Is it Rosen who's on colors? I've forgotten.
It is. I can tell you.
Yeah, it's Glynis Oliver.
Glynis Oliver and Lynn Varley.
Yeah, Lynn Varley, I think, does the last issue, but maybe she plays a role in some of the other pieces. But this is a great. You really feel like you don't have to draw 100 buildings. This is just this is everything. Oh, Jason, you're right. Jason says that's where all the effort went. So all the time spent cutting up these little pieces, for sure. That's beautiful. Really nice page. I wake in Tokyo, in an alley off the Ginza. I can still see her face, the sorrow in her eyes, her voice as she condemns me. I didn't know it was possible to feel such shame, to feel so sick at heart. I'm lost inside my soul. All that I thought I was and am and ever will be, shattered, cast to the winds. Compared to this, death is a mercy.
What do we have here, my brothers? Lost your way, little gaijin? Had a bit too much to drink? Too bad. This is our country, foreigner. We prefer to keep it neat, clean, pure. We don't want it soiled with your filth.
I don't want any trouble.
We do. We do. We do.
You couldn't help it.
Couldn't help it.
So what has caused all of their hands to lose their grip on their fun array of weapons?
Yep.
Got to turn the page and find out.
Got to turn the page and find out.
And here we get the bullpen bulletins.
Who's that supposed to be at the bottom?
You.
Oof.
Bob Layton.
Okay.
They die instantly, without a sound. A professional job. I assume it's a Sano. I'm wrong.
Upsy daisy, lover.
A woman. Strong. That's good.
You've seen better days, darling, but your luck's about to change.
Because if she lets go, I'll drop in a heap. My body's a lump of clay. Nothing works. I'm helpless. She knows it. that turns her on.
You're mine, Wolverine. Now and forever.
What?
What?
Oh my god.
One thing about this page I love too is the top panel on the right is his left eye is actually lazy. It's like half closed because he's just waking up or whatever. He's groggy.
Yeah.
It's great, right? I mean, just I don't know. It demonstrates again what state he's in.
And I always have trouble trying to figure out these blades. They look like butter knives with the handles stuck into people. You know, I can't see it as a. Yeah, it's just his style of blade has always been weird to me. And these are the most Miller shoes and feet. Like he's so distinctive with his unconscious body leg bend. He draws them very distinctively to my eye. Yeah, but the heel and everything. Anyway, it's very Miller-esque. And that last panel is right out of Sin City.
Right.
Is that not Rosario Dawson like holding up Clive Owen or Dwight, whatever character she's dealing with?
Right. Yeah.
But that's amazing. You get a pretty cool ad. Darkseid, Dark Phoenix, Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
I did not know what that was. I didn't understand what
Marvel
Dark
Comics
Seed
crossover, I guess.
Yeah, well, I know what it is. It's the X-Men Teen Titans crossover.
Oh, is that what it is?
I don't know if they knew what it was going to be this early, but yeah, we're going to probably do that one on the channel too.
Oh, yes.
At some point. Your keyboard is loud. We all heard clickety clickety clack.
Click, click, click.
And you get some nice ads here to finish off the issue. And then you ready for the best part of all?
Yes, I am.
Ba-now, the back cover.
Megaforce.
Did you ever listen to the episode?
I did.
How
did this get made about Megaforce?
I gotta tell you though, this ad made me very interested.
Yeah, you're like, tell me more about how I try out for Megaforce.
Yes, deeds, not words. I want to know all about the Megaforce. Man, oh man.
Oh man.
No, I just said that.
Well, I said it again.
So there you go. That is the first issue of the Wolverine Limited Series by Chris Claremont, Frank Miller, Joe Rubenstein on inks, who takes credit for the whole thing, by the way. If you go to a convention today, his banner that he made is that picture, and it says, like creator of or artist of the Wolverine Limited Series. He makes sure that gets to talk about it as if he's the sole creator. And when asked, he does not share credit. Like, he doesn't go, actually, I inked it over Miller's pencils. He doesn't do that.
So weird.
I'm so not a fan of that guy at the moment because of that one interview I listened to. But also, I don't think he adds a lot of things that I think his work looks really dated, where everything else feels like groundbreaking to me. But yeah, this really is a new Wolverine that we have not seen before in the previous 69 episodes. Well,
and it's that, from what we know of the character and what we in terms of his background, and to this point he's pretty indestructible. We don't know quite what his limits are, but he's been thrown into space, he's done a bunch of stuff, he survived. And if you have this as your character, like, well, how are they going to hurt Wolverine? It's like, well, you can't kill the man, so you break the man, right? Like, you can't kill him physically, so you emotionally rip him apart, which is what they're doing. He's the lowest state that he could be, with the dishonor and the shame and the all of it. So it's a really great way to set up this kind of, you can build him back up, right? But again, what do you do with a character who can't, I guess, kind of be killed, right?
Even though they punched him into space in that one,
they did punch him into space.
It feels like that didn't have any bearing on anything.
No,
like they didn't be like for months. Like, they punched you into space, dude. Like, how is your head still on?
They punched you into space, bro.
Yeah, you're really, really, really powerful. How did you I don't know how it was never brought up again. It was almost like it was like a joke,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like the Wile E. Coyote taking a beating. It's not like
Yeah.
the Coyote's immortal. It was character took a beating. Um,
Wolverine's little Acme sign.
so you said that this is like the lowest he can go. That's
Yeah.
the beauty. This is only the end of Act 1.
Exactly.
So now he's going to make a choice to put things into Act 2, and by the end of Act 2, he should actually be at his lowest.
Mm-hmm.
So he has further down to fall, which is kind of cool.
Or further, like further questionable paths in front of him. You know? Yeah. Super cool.
Wolverine. Yes, definitely. And then we can talk about it next time or whenever we want. But the fact that they made a movie that is pulling a lot from this limited series is always kind of cool. That was my dream, for a long time, is that we were going to get a Wolverine limited series movie, and because it was connected to the X franchise, you really couldn't make the love story part falls apart because that franchise was so heavily invested on Wolverine being in love with Jean.
Yeah.
And in the previous film, she had just died, so they couldn't
by his hand,
right? Which elevates his role with her. Hey,
pipe
dog,
down.
who asked you?
Pipe down.
The dog is a Scott fan. Doesn't like Wolverine.
Yeah.
So right, so they elevated Wolverine's role in her death in the X-Men movies.
Mm-hmm.
Which means like that's a more important touchstone for the character, and so like Jean haunts him all through the Wolverine movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't be about the love story between Logan and Mariko, because the love story is now that love is not significant.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a budding romance or sexual or something, but it wasn't like the love of his life the way she is in this series.
Yeah.
So they take a different approach. Also, the portrayal of Shingen is very different.
Mm-hmm.
I forget that actor's name. He's a really great Japanese actor who's in a lot of movies, including Endgame. Right, he's the crime lord that Hawkeye goes and kills when he's the Ronin, and he's a bit of a decoy. Sure, he's a bit of a decoy as the main villain in the movie, but you learn as the movie's going on. There's a bit of a sleight of hand play where the true villain is revealed as the movie continues. So there are some very significant pillars of the film than what the pillars are in the graphic novel. And his fight with Shingen in round 1, and then they're going to get a rematch.
Yeah,
that's the best that the book has to offer. Whereas in the movie, his fight with Shingen is it's a really good fight, but it isn't the climax of the film. It's sort of like almost like a false climax. So it's just interesting how the roles get shifted a little bit, and maybe the movie doesn't hold up as well because of some of those changes. The fact that the movie brings in a giant robot,
Silver Samurai type thing.
Yeah, which is fine in itself if you place Silver Samurai in this. There is, by the way, a second Wolverine limited series with Kitty Pryde. It's Kitty Pryde and Wolverine as the series. And we will read that eventually, I hope, down the road in a couple of years. And that one involves Silver Samurai and I think the sort of the beginnings of Lady Deathstrike in some way, or other pieces. But I'll be honest, I actually haven't read it yet. I only acquired all 5 or 6 issues, just finishing a couple months back, so I have not read it yet. But interesting to see the difference between this series and the movie. Maybe at the very end, in the last episode, we'll highlight a few of the key differences and similarities in a meaningful way. Yeah.
That's good.
Hey, what happened in the Leaf game?
You want to know?
Yes, no?
The good guys won. In regulation. Turns out that when we turned this show on to turn that game off, we missed a heck of a third period. Apparently, that's what I can gather. 4-3. 4-3.
Oh, wow. Did Matthews get anything?
Yeah, the game winner.
Yes. I will definitely track down.
Marner with a short-handed breakaway. Then Bunting. and then Matthews.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to hear they pulled out 2 points. And Jersey is a great team this year, so that's very exciting. Should we start plugging stuff? You ready? Since we, where are you going to be a week Friday?
I'm going to be at Toronto Comic Con, Convention Center in downtown Toronto, with you hanging out and doing comics.
We're going to be doing comics.
Doing comics.
Yes, we are going to be at the Toronto Comic Con March 17th through 19th. At I think we are tables P175 and 76 or something like that. And we'll have comics at our table for sale. We'll have some new prints, including some X-Men prints. 2 X-Men prints are going to be there.
Cool.
It's very exciting.
Very cool.
And if we sell 100 of those X-Men prints, we will upgrade the show.
You heard it here first.
So hopefully, buy some X-Men prints for sure. Buy some comics. The last few volumes of our trade paperback will hopefully find their way to some nice people at that show. I've got some sketch covers I'm happy to do. I've got 2 X-Men ones, by the way.
Oh, that's cool.
If you want to commission, if anyone wants to commission them, I'm happy to do X-Men sketch covers. I got a Green Lantern, a Batman, a Joker, Iron Man, a few other ones. What else can we talk about for that? It's going to be a fun event.
It's going to be a ton of fun. And our friends Jason are going to be there in the chat. Yeah. And David, who also comes, is going to be there. So a whole bunch of friends of the show are going to be there as well. And so you can come and support them as well, which is pretty cool.
To find out more about our comics, please head to groupof7comics.ca. And that 7 is the number 7. Groupof7comics.ca. There you can find more about our comics. Go to our eShop and pick up whatever you like, and we'll send it to you ASAP.
Do it.
As well, please click like, subscribe to the channel, share it with people who you think would be like-minded and would be interested in such content. It really goes a long way for us if you comment on the episode as well, not just in the chat, which we love, but also in the video on YouTube after it has already streamed. It makes a big difference in helping people find this channel. So we really hope that's the case.
Speaking of which, I want to say shout out to a few new subscribers. John Ross Segui. I don't know if I pronounced that last correctly, but I hope I am. Geek Hard podcast and show. And some just showed up in our channel today. Yameo, is that how you pronounce it? If it is, just you correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but thank you for subscribing. Really appreciate the support.
Definitely much appreciated. I can go on about Wolverine action figures. We can do that another time. I have so many. Do you have a Wolverine action figure?
I don't.
Not even a one?
No. Don't.
I'm going to just guesstimate right now that I probably have 30.
That's a lot of Wolverines.
In this room right now, there are 4 in front of me and a 5th on the shelf. There. That's Secret Wars Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mo.
Oh.
That's what. Yeah, Mo. There you go.
Thanks, man.
Been listening to the backlog all week. That's very nice of you, Yamo. I hope you're enjoying it, and we're really glad you're aboard. That's very cool. Wolverine action figures, I have a ton. Marvel Legends, but also the Marvel Universe, the littler ones that are fully closable, 3.75. But we'll showcase some later, especially if Jason and David are talking action figures with us. They bring a lot of that Marvel Legends love.
And we are going to, after we do this limited run in March, we are jumping right back to X-Men 159 with a special guest. We got a special guest called
right.
59.
It's an issue where they have to tangle with Dracula. With Dracula. So we have a Dracula-inspired guest coming in for April 4th, I believe it is.
Yes, I think it is. Yeah, you're right.
That'll be a lot of fun. I'm happy to get some new guests in here. And I'm very excited. And we're going to see her at Toronto Comic Con on March 17th as well.
There you go.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for doing this with me. That was a lot of Wolverine. Tune in next week to hear our friend Chris Sanagan take over the role of Wolverine as
For
I
the
become
first time ever
the first time.
on Previously in X-Men.
And I will become the femme fatale. It's gonna be something, and I promise I will dress the part.
Oh, so many things wrong with that.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. Hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time on Previously in X-Men.
Good night.
Thank you very much.